Welcome to the You've Changed podcast. My name is Kate Barron. I talk to people in the entertainment industry about moments in their life that have changed them. And joining me today is the lovely, beautiful, talented Tatty Macleod.
Thank you, Kate.
The superstar, the TikTok famous lady, the crazy French lady.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh my God, I love it. I think, you know what's funny is I think the first time I ever saw your stuff was online. But then when I met you, you weren't what I thought you were going to be online.
Oh my God, I love it when I don't know when people say that to me because I don't know if I hear that often, but I always love it whenever someone gives you like, these are my first impressions of you.
Yes.
The narcissist in me is like, oh, go on.
Go on.
What
tell
do you
me
think
more.
I was going to be like and what was I actually like?
Because you're like a bit of it's sketchy too, right? So it's like, it's not sketchy, but like, it's like a sketch. So you're like a character kind of thing. So I didn't really know what to expect of you. And then when I see people who are more like, if I see them first on like TikTok, my impression is that they're like a TikToker or like that kind of like they don't really know real comedy. That sounds really condescending.
No, that's okay.
Or like club comedy or whatever. And
Yeah.
then I was just like, it was so lovely actually working with you and gigging with you and seeing you. And I'm like, she's the fucking real deal. I really like this woman.
Thank you. Yeah, but the thing is that because I started doing stand-up before I did all the online stuff, I already had the live skill.
Yeah.
So like that was something that I already have. So, and I think we're going to see it more and more because there are so many comedians who are like blowing up online, whether it's from like their podcast clips or whether it's from like making online content or clipping up their stand-up. That I think that idea of, well, you're a TikToker or an Instagrammer, and that's different to being a live stand-up comedian is going to change as the years go by, and it's going to become so blurred.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's different skill sets you need to have while you're doing this. If you're in this industry and you're doing this kind of role, you need to do all of it.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's tough because
you do need to be sort of wear multi hats.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because I just feel like, I think it was Andrea De Freitas who wrote about that in that Tortal article.
Yes.
I mean, I'm really positive about the online stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's a gift. I think it's a different medium, but if you can creatively engage with it, it gives you so much opportunity to do different stuff and new stuff. But I also do agree that it's like you have to wear so many different hats.
Yeah.
And it's like, when did I have to not only write good jokes, but also write jokes that are suitable for online, or write good sketches, understand good lighting, understanding how to frame myself, understanding how to edit a video, understand branding and marketing. And like all of a sudden you go from being, I'm a comedian and my talent is to make people laugh in a room, to being, I understand how to run a business and I am the business.
Yeah.
And I think that's really tough. But I would say that with the online stuff, definitely, like even on my stories, which are not character based, which is like me chatting.
Yes,
It's like a lens of yourself. It's like it's a bit like you're giving this bit of yourself, and that's amped up, and everything is true. But it's it's like there's a percentage of yourself that you keep to one side.
Of course, you have to protect that.
You have to
have a little bit to yourself. It is weird. Do you feel like people think they know you a lot better when they come to see you? Like they have this weird intimacy with you. Like they think they really know who you are.
Which I love as well, because I do think that like people do know me. They definitely know me better than they know another random comedian they don't know.
Of course.
They know me better than people who don't share lots of stuff on their, like my stories is like, my Instagram stories, I call it the girls' toilets. Like I'm literally, when I see guys that I fancy or that I've dated or am dating watching my stories, I'm like, please go away.
Yeah, no.
This is me with no makeup on talking about dildos and tampons. Like, please go away.
Yes.
The energy of my Instagram stories is like, it's like midnight in the bathroom and we're in a club and we've had a couple of glasses of wine and it's like, no, but like, what about anal? Like that's the attitude.
What about it? Tatty, let's get into that. Is that what changed you?
Yes.
Having really rough anal. You have that great anal joke as well.
Yeah. I do have that, which none of my followers know about because that's a different side of me. But yeah, so the kind of but what I do find is that people, they feel like they know you really well, and but sometimes in the street people will be like, Tatty, and I'm literally like, fuck, I don't remember this person's name, and then they kind of like, oh no. Like I follow you online, it's normal.
That's why I say hi love, or like I always do that, or I'm like, hey pal, or hey man, how are you?
Yeah.
Like I say hey love. Like
totally.
I just do that to everyone because there's people that I've met in actual comics that I've met and I'm really bad with names. But then I can remember like substance. Like I can remember a conversation. I could not remember somebody's name, but I could remember that they have a wife and a kid and their jokes are about this and all this stuff, but I don't know what their name is.
And I think there's not enough focus that's put on that.
But isn't it bad that I don't remember their name, but I could like repeat their jokes and like
maybe not, because actually
What's in a name?
A name is said once, maybe
true.
twice. The fact that you can remember the substance of someone kind of means that you're listening more. I think that's a really good point that you're making.
Go on.
And there's not enough credit given to that.
Yeah.
Like, you could meet someone and be like, I'm really sorry, I don't remember your name, but I do remember you talking about this. I remember that you work here. I remember that your partner is X. I feel like that would be enough to...
I'm better at that kind of stuff.
That would be enough. I think when people get offended, it's when it's like you've met someone a couple of times and they're still like, who are you? We've never met before.
Yes. And I've had that when you meet like loads and loads of times. And that doesn't happen to me. But it's the same thing with like songs. I'll remember all the lyrics to a song and I'm like, I don't know the name of it or who sings it.
Yes.
But I could sing it for you.
Yeah.
Not well, but I could do it.
Yeah, but I could give you... But then again, I also think it's hard as a comedian when it comes to like me, because I've had people who have been like, we've met before.
Yeah.
And I've been like, I'm so sorry. This is not ego. Like, I'm not being like,
no.
hey.
Yeah, like, who are you?
Who are you? You're not important enough for me to remember.
That's why you just say nice to see you.
Yeah.
All the time. Just use that as a default.
It's just been a situation where it's like, we might have met on a night where I've done 3 gigs.
Yeah.
And I have literally been in and out, or you've had an argument with a partner, or shit is going on in your life and you're on your phone and you're like, I'm on, cool. But it's never never, ever, 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 ever have I ever blanked someone because
no, you're so not that person.
I've thought to myself, you're just not of the caliber, the kind of person that I want to be associated with.
Yeah.
I've sometimes been like, I don't really want to talk to you because you're not someone that I like.
Yeah.
But it's
Tell me more about who that is. Give me the tea.
You don't want it on this podcast.
Oh my God, no. Well, you can tell me after. We'll do a laundry list of everyone we hate in the industry.
It's only happened once, and I haven't really blanked that person. But But anyway, no.
No. I know. I wouldn't make you do that. But there is some people that like. I know what you're saying about energy, and I heard a comment recently from this through somebody else my name came up, and they're like, "Oh, she's so mean." And I was like, why did he think I was mean? They're like, because apparently he talks nonstop and it's always about, he'll ask you a question and then interrupt with his answer of the question and doesn't let you talk and just goes on and on about how amazing he is. And so I just go, okay. And I get up and walk away while he's talking. And he thinks I'm really mean for doing that. And I think it's funny. But I guess that's mean.
But I've given up on...
Yeah.
You know, not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes...
I used to not be able to stand that. I used to have to be liked by people. That used to kill me inside, knowing somebody didn't like me.
I had an environment that I was in where I was in a work environment and I wasn't happy about the setup of the work environment. I felt like I had been a little bit shafted by what was going on. I felt, it's that thing where it's like sometimes it's really hard because as a comedian or as a creative, people will often say to you like, this has got a really small budget, but we really like you, we love you to participate. And you go, I really want to support this endeavor. Like, I'll definitely get involved. Like, I understand. And then you rock up and you're like, oh, no. Everyone else here is being treated or paid differently. But I feel like I just went, cool, no worries.
Yeah.
Because I was just being like chill about it. Anyway, so I found myself in an environment like that, and I was with a friend, and I confronted the person who was organising it.
Good for you.
And just sort of said, look, this is when I agreed to this, I didn't push aggressively for like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because it was my understanding that this was a low budget setup. I think you're cool. I think this event is cool. I wanted to get involved in it, but I've got here, and I'm feeling like you've taken advantage of me. And my friend afterwards, who was with me, said to me like, "Well, that was really brave."
Yeah, I think that's so brave to you.
Yeah, but do you know what? And this is like how I framed it to her. I was like, but what I think is funny about the way we frame that is like, is it then for me to feel uncomfortable at this event and for me to feel like shit? Or like, what is the greater discomfort?
Yeah.
Is the greater discomfort for me to sit in my discomfort of, I kind of feel like I've been taken advantage of? Or is it a greater discomfort to make that person feel uncomfortable?
100%.
And I'm like, why would I sit with that discomfort when actually, like, I think there's this real thing where, like, we don't give ourselves... It's like not being kind to ourselves. It's like, no, I'm not going to make them feel uncomfortable. I'm going to let myself stay uncomfortable. I was like, why would that be more okay than putting that discomfort onto someone else?
I love that. I just heard this thing the other day where somebody was talking about when you try to keep the peace, you need to ask yourself, whose peace are you keeping? Because it is not your own usually.
Precisely.
Usually when you're going, I'll try to keep the peace, it means you're trying to keep someone else's, and it kills you a little bit inside. And I love that you do. This is why I love talking to you, because you were like a grown-ass woman who just like gets it and is just so real about stuff. And I remember the first time, do you remember that time we went for wine after Top Secret?
Never forget it.
And we had just like a great conversation. And I just left there going like, fuck, I love her. Like she's just so... just gets it, and you're plugged in, and you don't have an ego about you. And I just, every time I talk to you, I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to start a cult, I'm behind you, girl. I almost dyed my hair pink the other day too. I think I'm having a midlife crisis. I saw those like blonde shampoo things where you can do the tone. I don't know what you use or whatever. What those like, you know, it's called Blonde. The brand.
Yeah, I do use that.
And it was like the rosé or whatever. I was like, oh, should I do this?
Yeah, this is odd fuchsia, but continue.
Yeah, and I was just like, should I do this? I'm like, I don't know. Is this just me having a midlife crisis, whatever? Because it looks so cute on you.
It is. You know what? You could, and it washes out. And I would advise anyone to do it. And you kind of have a go. And it's become super mainstream. I'd love to be able to be like, actually, this is my trademark. But I'm pretty sure pink did it before me.
Yeah, but I just think it is so cute and your trademark.
Thank you.
I feel like I would just look like I'm having a midlife crisis. I feel like the fucking bald man in a Corvette. You know what I mean?
No. If you went for like a really pale pink,
like a rosé,
it would look lovely. It would look lovely with your skin tone. It would look lovely with the pastel colors on your jumper. It would look really nice. But maybe anyway, the thing that I was just, I'm getting increasingly more into a headspace of like, do you know what? Some people aren't going to like you.
Yeah.
And especially when you're a woman who's running your own business.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, women working in comedy. I just think that's a given. That's an absolute given. And I'm so careful when people say to me, people are difficult to work with. I'm hyper like, okay, I'll receive that.
Yeah.
But I'll take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Because I just think there are so many environments in which you can.
And how many times are they talking about a woman versus a man in that situation? It's almost always they're talking about a woman being difficult to work with. And why? Because she stood up. Like there's a comic that I've worked with a bunch of times, and I've been told by many people she's difficult to work with. And then we did, similar to what happened to you, we did a gig together, and it was we had to travel for it and all this stuff. And I was really like, they were like, oh, you know, we don't have this, and you're going to have this, and this is the setup or whatever. And she just went, absolutely not. This is not what you have to give me this. And it wasn't outrageous. It was like what's expected. But I got completely shafted on it because I was just like, well, maybe I should be lucky to be here. And then when we met up and we were there, she's like, what even is this? What's the setup here? Why did you accept this? And I was like, well, I didn't know I had a choice. And she's like, girl. And I was like, and right there, she's standing up for herself and I didn't. And they just gave her everything that she wanted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to start being better at doing that. But I think part of it for me is like, feeling like, especially in this industry, like I'm not at the level, like I feel like if I push back, they're going to go, okay, well then we'll just get someone else.
Yes, but I think that's an anxiety that never goes away.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from when you have been in the early stages of your creative career.
Yeah.
And you know what it feels like to be like, I can't make a living out of this. I've got this random side job. Like, and it's just like fucking tough.
Yeah.
But then trying to get yourself out of that mentality into a mentality of like, I think they call it like abundance, like more work will come, more work will come.
Yeah.
And also, I think that there's something, for me, I remember meeting this woman who had her own business. She ran like a PR company. And I remember her saying to me, you actually have to behave like the person that you want to become. And I thought that was interesting within reason.
Yes, of course.
And I think it's always good to have people around you that are like, yeah,
keeping you in check.
It's good for you to say to your agent, I want this, and your agent to be like, yeah, no, that's not at the moment. That's not where we're at. But it's good for you to be like, okay, but I think that I can do that and I'm worthy of that.
Yeah.
And I just think in a way it's like we haven't got the time to be double checking ourselves, questioning whatever. It's just like we just got to go, right, okay, fine. Yeah. And how many super successful people are accused of being absolute CUNTs?
Yeah, that's true.
I love that I said CUNT. I'm such a little...
I love it. It's so cute. You're so precious. I love it. That's like my favorite thing about living over here is just like the word cunt is thrown around so freely. It's my favorite thing.
Is it? Well, you say that, but still definitely whenever I do a corporate, it's like that's the absolute
Oh, yeah. No. I would never.
So like in Australia, they use it, I think, like they use it to say, like, it's equivalent of like prick.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying it all the time.
In Canada, it's much more like jarring. People think it's like an awful word.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So when I'm out there and I use it, they're like,
Yeah.
It's like some, but I just so use it as like a regular slang, but I would never do it in a corporate because I want the fucking paycheck and I would never fucking do that.
Yeah.
How are you generally? How's life?
Stressful at the moment. I'm in between places.
That's when your housing situation is chaotic.
Yes.
For me especially, like I'm someone, I wake up, I make my bed in the morning. I like to have organization. If I go away, I make sure my whole room, all my bedding is washed right before I fly out so I can come home to a nice, clean, fresh home. That's like my comfort. So when my housing situation is chaotic, it makes my mind crazy.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm really untidy. So that's one thing. Woo! It is chaos in my bedroom. But I think that it's funny how in the beginning of your career, the prospect of traveling with work was so exciting.
Yeah.
And then the more you start to travel to work, the more you're just like, oh no, like where possible, I will always go home.
Yes, yeah. Even if it's late, I'd rather wake up in my own bed.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that in order for me to be able, I'm actually like a very kind of structured and quite a homebody kind of person.
Yeah.
I like to have a kind of like 9 to 5 working routine, and then I'll do a gig in the evening. But that's like my setup work hours. Like that's how I like to function. That's what I need for my mental health to be like in a good place.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that kind of lifestyle. So I don't like that I'm in between places. Yeah. I'm actually putting myself into storage, but I'm trying to make the most of it. I'm going to go to Paris for a month.
Oh, lovely. Well, not so lovely with all the bed bugs right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk. Yeah, I'm considering taking my own bed sheets, but then my mum was just like,
but then they'll just
they live in the bed. So like, there's no point. But yeah, so I'm going to Paris for a
month.
would
just be careful with the clothes you bring, because if you get bed bugs, right, you have to wash everything in really, really hot water and then dry it in high heat.
Can't I just put it in the freezer?
No. You have to. Heat kills them. So if you take clothes that are like maybe cashmere or something like that, you would ruin a cashmere sweater. So do something that you could, like jeans or something, you could wash denim.
I'm there for a month.
Well,
I can't go for Paris for a month without my cashmere jumpers, Kate.
I know.
Who do you take me for?
But this is what I'm saying. So that's how you kill bed bugs, apparently. I've never had them, thank God, but it's a fucking problem. I saw pictures of people on them. Yeah, apparently they're everywhere, like on the metro.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't actually get the metro when I go to Paris, so I should be okay.
My God.
I walk everywhere. I walk everywhere. It's
of course, if you can walk everywhere. It's like
tiny.
London, like you can walk or cycle everywhere in London.
But it's small. It's way smaller than London.
Yeah.
And it feels it when you're there.
I've only been to Paris one time.
When did you go?
God, ages ago with my sister. My sister, before I moved over here, my sister and I did like a
European trip.
A European trip together. We did a backpacking trip, and it was.
Are you from North America? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Canada, Vancouver. And so we decided, like, she was about to go into nursing school, and I was going to become a real estate agent in Vancouver. Didn't happen at all.
Wow.
And so we were like, let's have one big hurrah together and go to Europe together.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most fun, chaotic, whatever trips. And we just did, I don't even know how long we went for, but I think it was 3 or 4 weeks. And we did like Prague, Berlin, Barcelona, Paris, I don't know, a bunch of other little cities in there. We just did a whole little tour around, just like having fun and partying and carefree. And so that was the only time I had gone to Paris ever.
Oh, amazing. You know, it's funny. I used to be a tour guide.
You did?
Yes, big
How long
time.
did you do that for?
Years. It was my 2016 I started when I came out of drama school, and up until the first year that I made enough money as a comedian, which was I had to stop during the pandemic because obviously tourism industry was decimated.
Yeah.
And then I got a job as an admin assistant in a law firm. And then my first year I made enough money to live as a comedian was September 2021. So from 2016 to 2020, I was working full-time as a tour guide. And if I hadn't have made enough money to go full-time comedian, then I would have continued the tour guiding.
Did you like doing it?
Yeah, you know, I liked it in as much as like you're your own boss, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like once you've got that, you're freelance, you're self-employed. You can do as much or as little as you want.
So are you doing like walking tours, or are you like on a top of a bus? And look to the left.
I was doing walking tours like Buckingham Palace and stuff, but I was doing these big bus tours, Winterbath, Stonehenge, Winterbath, Oxford, like that kind of thing. But also used to do tours of Paris.
Very cool.
So I used to take people from London to Paris for a day and then bring them back to London.
That's cool.
It was good, you know, because it really got me on board with Paris. But what made me think, what was funny, because it's just like what you're talking about is just what all people from the US or wanted to do. They come over and they're just like, and I have a joke in my show about it. It's like they'll do like 17 countries, like 27 cities, like 38 World Heritage UNESCO sites, 5 days.
Yeah.
Like you guys whack in everything.
But it's because Canada is such a massive country. Have you been to Canada?
No, never.
So Canada's a massive country, but it has a population half the size. It's like as big as the States, but half the size of the UK for population. It's only like 36 million. But it's so big. And to get from Toronto to Vancouver would be not like distance-wise, but it'd be the equivalent from going London to Edinburgh. But that's a train ride away.
Yeah.
Whereas that's a 6-hour, $1,000 flight in Canada.
Wow.
So it's very expensive to travel in Canada, very long distances to travel in Canada. If you go 4 hours somewhere, you're not anywhere. You're just outside of the city a little bit. Right. So and there's a lot of uninhabitable area in Canada as well. Most people live within 100 miles of the U.S. border. Most people live all along that U.S. border in Canada. So it's a very big country. So then when we come to Europe, I think this is why it happens. When
and
we
it's so cheap.
Europe, it's cheap. You can travel by train. People are always like, oh my God, you can just take the train everywhere. We had Eurail passes. And you can just go from one city one day and then into the next. And like, we were
like a kid in a candy store.
Kid in a candy store.
Pick a mix.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But it was just what I would look at these people. I'd turn up for a tour, Windsor, Bath, Stonehenge. It's a 12-hour tour.
Yeah.
I would turn up at 7:15 a.m. at Victoria Coach Station, and I'd get these couples coming onto my bus, right? Bus day tour, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we just landed yesterday from Tennessee." I was like, you landed? Yeah, we landed at about 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, feeling pretty tired today. I'm like, how many hours sleep have you? What is wrong with you? Is this your holiday?
Yeah.
Like your rest from work is going to be 2 weeks at this rhythm?
Yeah.
Insane.
But it's also because it's expensive and it's far. So you're going, well, if I'm going to take a 10-hour flight, you go, I got to pack in as much as I can.
Wild.
But it is crazy. And it was better back then when we were just like young and carefree, and then
I get that.
Single.
The backpacky bit, I totally get.
Yeah.
But I've taken them to Paris on tours. By the time it gets to like early afternoon, we get to the Louvre.
And they're like,
these people are just like, yeah, no, cool. Like they're like, no, we're not going to get off the bus. We're too tired now. We're done.
Oh my God.
You know, they haven't even got, but tour guiding's a whole other world. I have so many stories from that. But yeah.
Do you talk about that on stage?
Only a little bit. I've been thinking a long time I'd love to do a sitcom or something about I talk a little about being a tour guide in Paris.
Yeah.
It was good because I used to hate Paris. I grew up in Western France, in Brittany. We don't like Parisians.
It's like how people who are not from London in the UK, they don't like London.
They don't like
London. And it's like Americans don't really like New York. It's like a separate little world unto itself.
Exactly. And people always assume if you're from France, you're from Paris. And people are always like, oh my God, Paris. And I'm just like, oh, Parisians. So it definitely, but I think it's gotten a lot better. I think it's changed a lot. And in the time that I was a tour guide there, I was like, oh my God, actually, this is really lovely. And it sort of warmed me to it. So I'm going to Paris for a month and then I come back mid-November. And I'm kind of looking forward to it because August, Edinburgh, all of September, I worked a bit abroad. I was in France. I was at home in Brittany with my mum. I went on holiday with my mum. I've been away. I've come back October. I've been here for like 10 days.
Yeah.
I'm going back to France for a month. And I just get to a point where I'm like, I haven't been in London since July.
Yeah.
And if anyone feels like they don't like their home, I would recommend leaving it for an
extended
period. And then you're kind of like, I do actually really like London.
Yeah.
I love this city. I miss my gigs. I miss my friends. I miss being on the circuit. It's good to check in with that.
Yeah, I love it here. I do really love it here. It easily felt like home to me. I've been here for almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And it just sort of felt like the place.
Great.
And even when I go back to Canada, I am excited. Like I love my family and love seeing my family, but I'm excited to come back and it feels good to come back and everything. So
no, exactly.
Well, beware bed bugs.
Don't
just beware of those cashmere
If you see
sweaters.
if you see me scratching,
I'm gonna tell everyone you have bed bugs and not to book you on the circuit when you get back. Well, let's talk about something that's changed in your life. What is something that's changed? It can be big, small, whatever you want it to be. It could be a moment, could be a series of moments. What is that?
So many. I think one of the things that I think back on and I think, okay, that was a really big shift. Was when I was at university, I came to the UK to go to university. I'd never lived in the UK. Well, that's a lie. I lived in the UK for 6 months when I was 15, but I grew up in France. I lived in France my whole life. When I was 18, I came to study in the UK. I went to Sussex University, and I did law. I wanted to become a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And I was always very academic. I enjoyed academia. I always wanted to be a performer, like in the like deep down in my soul.
Yeah.
I think I'd like printed off an application for RADA when I was 18, but it just like wasn't on my radar. I'd never done acting lessons. I didn't know anyone who was not just an actor, but like didn't, you know, it was just, I grew up in the countryside. It was like a million miles away.
Yeah.
You know, Hollywood or the concept of a film may as well be the moon. I didn't know how any of that worked. But deep down had this kind of thing. Like I really, you know, kind of wanted to do it. But went to university, studied law, decided I'd become a lawyer and I'd be good at that. And that's what I was going to do. And I did well around university, present the debating society.
Oh.
Hello, yes, she's a geek.
I love that though.
And I won my mooting competition and I was good at that. But academically, I really struggled with law. I don't know what it was about it, but I just couldn't.
Do you have lawyers in your family?
Yeah, so I do.
Is that
actually.
why you were like, oh, that sort of feels like the right path?
Well, I want to say yes and no because my father was a lawyer.
Okay.
But my parents divorced
yes.
when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
And my father's not part of my life.
Right, okay.
So if anything, I disliked the idea that there might be some parallel between what I was doing and what, like, not at all. It was more, if I'm being really honest, it was because I think back on it now and I think, oh, it's me on stage with a wig.
Why do they still wear the wigs?
Tradition.
I know, but like it's such it's so I was trying to write a whole joke about it, but like it's ridiculous that they still wear that. We keep up the farce of it all. Like it is some of these old traditions here. They do it in Canada too, right? Because we have crown court and everything, and we have all that. It's the same system as over here, but like it just seems so silly that we're all gonna be adults. Let's go put our dresses and our little hats on, and our little wigs on, and we're just pretend it's the old timey days.
Yeah, but babe, if you get rid of that tradition because it's silly, then you have to get rid of the royal family. It's all part of the same.
I know. It's like
do you know what I mean? It's all part of the same structure.
It's the deck of cards,
like,
right?
You have to.
Or the house of cards.
We have to be like, it's not silly, it's tradition. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like everything goes. Yeah. Everything goes.
I heard it was to make everyone in the court on an equal playing field, sort of, so that all the lawyers, whatever side, so that everyone could see them, like or it's like a status thing in the court. For people,
I actually
they
don't
can
know
be
where
viewed as that, or I don't know. Like,
I don't know where it began, but I don't think it is status because I think that I mean, I might be wrong on this. Yeah. But it's my understanding that your wig, the size of the wig is dependent on your seniority.
Wait, what? So wait, if you're junior, they'll make it so it like barely fits your head and you look like a fucking loser?
I believe so.
And then it properly fits?
Which is why judges have these like ridiculously long locked wigs. They're not wearing these wigs down to here because they're like, it suits my bone structure.
Well, I don't know. You never know.
Judges in the UK are... what we're talking specifically about barristers, not solicitors.
Yes,
two types of, but barristers, you're always a junior barrister until you become a QC, or now it'd be KC, King's Court. Yeah. And you kind of like get elevated to that status. Right. And then, well, actually, I think some people can become judges before, but you do that. Then you become a judge. Yeah. And then there's different types of judges, and then you become a high court judge and a Supreme Court judge and whatever, so on and so forth. Yeah. So they all begin by being junior barristers, and then you go up through the ranks. And I'm pretty sure, but like I feel like I want to say don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure the ringlets of the wig...
That dictates, for every ringlet, that dictates another year of service or whatever.
Kind of like, I don't know,
like the rings on a tree.
Or like people who get their kills tattooed on them or something.
Yeah, the little teardrops are all like,
exactly.
All
the time I've done, it's just like, if you see a barrister coming in with like a big thick wig, he's baller as fuck. He's just like, oh my God. Yeah, baby.
You're teaching me so much. So you thought you wanted to be a lawyer, you were in law, but you just wanted to perform with a wig on.
Yeah, I think deep down that was it. And so I did really badly academically. And that was, and it was just like, you know, think back at your time at uni. I was just like,
did you graduate?
Yes, I did, but wait, but this is the thing, right? So it's chaotic because basically I'm at university, I'm partying a lot, but I'm also trying to be down to my degree, but it's all quite messy. And I get into my third year, I was super disorganized. I'd picked, you know, you have to pick your subjects for the third year, which is law, but you've got different sections. I'd end up being shoved into the last stuff that was left. It was like commercial law and contract law and all this really dry stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't do a year of this. This is going to be horrific. Yeah. Like I'm going to do so badly at it. I got up to that point like a 2-2 and I was like, oh God, I really don't want to leave uni with a 2-2. Like I need to try and get a 2-1. Otherwise I'll never be able to get a pupillage. I'll never be able to, like, it's going to make it really hard for me to become a lawyer. No disrespect to anyone who got a 2-2. It's a very respectable degree result. But so I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like I was really struggling. And then I got this email through to the Debating Society email address, bearing in mind I'm president of the Debating Society. Yes. And it's like, looking for young opinionated people to take part in this TV program traveling to Africa. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So I emailed back and I said, well, I'm opinionated.
Yeah.
President says, I'm up for this. And I have this call, and I don't know anything about what the program is because they don't tell you, but they're kind of like, well, how would you feel if, you know, you went to a country where people were sort of like, I don't know, making your clothes or whatever. And I was kind of like, well, you know, it'd be interesting to discover and sort of understand a bit more about that economy. Blah. Anyway, long story short, I got picked to do this program.
I love this.
And the program was basically, the first one was called Blood, Sweat and T-Shirts. And it was a program that became really popular. There's a TV presenter now called Stacey Dooley.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's how she got famous.
Wait, what? And what network was this on?
BBC.
I did not know you did any of this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to go watch all this now.
I was really funny as well because, oh God, it was like, you know, I look back on it now and I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing that was me.
My God, I want to watch it. I'm so excited.
It's so cringe. It's so
I'm so excited.
I don't think I come across bad on the program.
Right.
But my friend said to me, Helen was like, I think that they had made a decision about who you were going to be when they filmed the VT. Right. And maybe that's not who you really are. But certainly.
I think they make the decision early on in reality TV when they edit who you are.
Let me tell you, that I was I was still like, I want to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh God. There's a bit
I need to see this
in the VT where they're like, where do you see yourself? And I said, oh my God,
I love how much pain you're in right now, even remembering this.
Oh my God, it's so painful. I had this Burberry jacket that I wore for the VT, right? I wore it inside out.
Oh my God.
To show off the Burberry print.
That's embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. They asked me, where do you see yourself? Yes, Kate. I say, like, I see myself earning on the right side of £50,000 by the time I'm like 25. I mean, the stuff I really do sound like a young Tory, which, to be fair, I never was. But, like.
For the record.
For the record, but like I'm seeing who I so desperately wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then by the time I was 25, I was working as a waitress in
on the wrong side of £50,000 a year.
I was earning £25,000 up until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, my life went in a completely different direction, but I was just like that person that I was then was that I was just desperate to succeed. I was desperate to make money. I was desperate to have like a successful career, and that was how I saw success.
Did you actually want it, or did you want people to know you had it?
No, I really wanted that.
You wanted that for yourself? Because I know people who like, they're so, especially I find people in this country because they wear their working class background as such like this badge of, sometimes it's a badge of honor, sometimes it's like a chip on their shoulder. And when they get a little bit more professional success or more financial stability in their life or financial freedom, they really go overboard on the brands, the logos, everything, and it's very showy. And it reads to me as very insecure. Like if you have to turn your Burberry jacket inside out so people know it's Burberry, I go, ugh, that's a bit insecure.
Why?
Or if you're wearing Gucci, then you're like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there was an element of like pride to have borrowed my sister's Burberry coat.
Yeah, I love that it wasn't even yours. You borrowed it.
Obviously, was not mine, and like, yeah, I was pleased with the fact that I had it, and I definitely did want to show off the brand of it. No doubt about that, 100%. But when I was talking about this, when I was talking about me wanting to make that amount of money, that was genuinely how I saw my life going. I was like, I'm going to become a businesswoman. I'm going to become a barrister. I'm going to have this like very like kind of like, it was like a 1980s film set on Wall Street was how I saw my adult life going.
Wow.
Power suits and kind of like business. Like that's what I thought my future was going to be. And though I always had this thing deep down in my heart where like I always wanted to be a performer, I remember being like, but I can't be poor.
Yeah.
I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be struggling. I don't want to not be able to buy the things that I want to buy. And I don't know exactly where that came from. I didn't grow up in poverty, but I definitely grew up aware of, my mum was a single parent, she had 4 children. I was aware of like the importance of being financially independent and making a living. And that was how I'd carved out my success for myself. That was what that was going to look like. But I wasn't on the path to achieve that because I was doing really bad at university. You know, I wasn't smashing it. I wasn't on that pathway to become that person. And anyway, this TV show, I did it not because I actually really wanted to do a TV show.
Yeah.
I didn't give 2 shits. It transpires once I got it that they had thousands of applicants.
Wow.
I had actually...
Were you the only one selected? Like, was it you and Stacey Dooley? There were 7 of you.
No. Stacey Dooley the first season. We were on the second season.
Oh, I see.
There was like 7 of us who had done it.
Gotcha.
Who did it. I didn't know what the TV show was going to be. I didn't give 2 shits. All I knew was I'm going to fail my final year at university.
Yeah.
I need to have a reset. And this was an opportunity for me to basically go, hi, sorry, I've got this great opportunity to go and do this TV show with the BBC where I get to travel to Africa for 4 weeks, and it's at the very least going to be an opportunity to travel around the world, and what an interesting experience to have. So that was my opportunity to defer my final year.
Right.
That I didn't give a shit about the program. I had no idea.
It was just taking a time out of your life kind of thing.
I had no intention. Like, I wasn't thinking about being on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, that was not something that was on my radar. It was like reset. It's an opportunity for like a little reset, and I can go back, I can get the right subjects for my final year, and then I can do better academically, and then I can actually go on to achieve all the stuff that I was like, this is what a successful life looks like.
Yeah.
So I get selected to go and do the program. Great, I get to defer, fantastic, it's all good. And I go and do it, and first of all, amazing experience.
Yeah, of course.
Really, like, just incredible. I traveled to Madagascar, and we're talking, like, really, you're going to, like, really off the beaten track, off the tourist track.
Yeah.
In Madagascar, we went to I worked in a sapphire mine in Madagascar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. I went to Ghana, I worked in... a gold mine in Ghana. Wow. We went to Ethiopia. I went all the way up into the mountains in Ethiopia. I worked on a coffee plantation, and then I went to Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, and I worked in like what do you call that, where meat is cut up and stuff?
Oh, like a butcher?
Yes, an abattoir.
Yeah.
We went to the Philippines, you know, so I just had this incredible experience. It was really intense. The first time I ever had a panic attack was on that trip.
Oh, wow.
Didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah, that's really scary.
I got onto a flight and I genuinely thought I couldn't breathe. But I didn't have that.
Flight back. Or there was in when you were over
when
there.
We were
like,
traveling from Kenya to Ethiopia. We'd gone from Ghana to Kenya, then we were traveling to Ethiopia. I'd never had a panic attack before, so I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have that thing in my brain of being like, oh, you're hyperventilating because you're panicking because you're psychologically having a panic attack.
Yeah.
I honestly turned to the girl who was with me and I was like, oh my God, Lucy, I can't breathe. There's something wrong with the aircon. I can't breathe. And I remember, and it just like goes to show we were the same age, but I had never fucking heard of this. And I swear, we're only going back 2010, I think this was.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm still 12 years ago from now, but I swear the conversation just about mental health and how much is spoken about now is so much more than it was back then.
Yeah.
I remember Lucy turning to me and being like, you're having a panic attack.
That's good.
And I was like, I don't know what that is.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that is.
Good that you had somebody who could recognize it though and not just like freak out.
And she was like, don't worry, you can breathe. Anyway, so yeah, first time I had a panic attack was on that trip. And I think it was just because it was a lot, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Huge amount. There was some stuff I realized very quickly. The production company look after you. And they do. It was a big team, lots of producers, always had like fixers on the ground as well. They had a paramedic at all times. Like it was there was maybe like 12 crew with us traveling around, multiple cameras. It was a big production. But they look after you, but they also put you in situations that are going to lead to conflict because they want to make good TV.
Exactly.
And I remember feeling really like, there was this guy who I really didn't get on with, and we had lots of arguments, and then they'd put us together to stay in the same room in the evenings, and I would literally be like, I thought we were friends, why are you doing this to me? You know, so it was a real discovery of lots of things, you know, that we now know about when it comes to TV, reality TV, and
how
all the
they
rest
set
of
it up. Yeah.
And it was such an amazing experience, and it was so interesting, and I think it was the catalyst that I needed to be like, oh, that's not you. That like this person that you're trying to beat yourself into because that's how you see success and that's what success looks like, that actually isn't going to make you happy. That's not who you are. And I think I needed that big break. And it's only really years later you look back on it and you're like, that was the break I needed to get me off that path. Yeah. Because if I hadn't have taken that break, I think I would have felt like a sense of obligation to follow in the footsteps of everyone around you. And be like, oh, well, everyone else is applying for a pupillage or the LPC or the BVC or the next part of the training to become, oh, I need to follow in that as well. And it just gave me this break. And it was like, right, now you're not on that course. I came back. I had like a whole 7 months before I was going back to finish my final year in September.
Right, okay, because you took a whole year.
So because this happened January, so I'd done my first term at uni. Yeah. Like deferred the other 2 terms, went and did the traveling, did the TV show, had another couple of months, and then in September I went back to finish my degree. But just that time was a time that I needed to kind of reset what I wanted to do. Yeah. And it just like slowed me down a bit. Yeah. Because I hadn't even wanted to do. I could have done like law and American studies and gone and spent a year in the US, which I would have loved, but I didn't because I thought, no, I want to leave and crack on with my career. I was like, I want to leave, and I want to start making money, and I want to be successful, and I want to kind of like be that kind of like lawyer, hard-nosed lawyer, businesswoman person, and I needed that time. I needed that break to kind of be like, wait, no. Actually, how do you want to live your life, and who do you want to be, and take like stock of actually what's making you happy.
I just think it's crazy that we ask 17 and 18-year-olds to decide who they want to be for the rest of their life and like spend all this money on university and go to school when they don't even know who they are and they're not like fully formed adult people yet. Yeah. And they haven't lived any sort of life or had, you know, some people have and some people have had different things happen in their lives, but the majority of people just come out of like, you know, secondary school just going like, well, I don't know. And for me, I had no idea who I was or what I wanted to be, other than in the back of my head, I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to do this and that and the other. But I was like, no one's going to want to listen to me or see me. I didn't have the balls to do it forever. But I went to school and I was flip-flopping back and forth with different things. Studied art history for a bit. Then I started philosophy. I studied criminology. Like it was all over the place at multiple different schools. I just kept jumping. And like I like didn't want to finish or I didn't even want to do anything because I was just like, I don't want to do any of this. None of this is what I want. But I was wasting tons of money and spending money I did not have to waste, racking up student loans. And I know so many people who did that, doing something completely different than what they're actually doing now. Yeah. And it just left them with like a mountain of debt. But and just like...
It's weird because it's like you're trying to escape yourself.
Yeah.
Because to stop and to like face up to the truth of what you really want to do, and the risk that it would be to really go on that path. Yeah. It feels in some ways like easier or less scary to kind of
just go the
burrow into these other things. And I think also there's like a long time that it takes quite a long period to make the differentiation between what you thought you wanted, the image of the thing that you think that you want, which is really formed on nothing experiential. That's formed on like watching TV.
Yeah.
Me watching women on TV and thinking, that looks cool.
Yeah.
That looks like the kind of person I'd want to be.
Yeah,
that feels like
true.
the kind of experience I want to have. And when I think back on thinking about I'd wanted to be a lawyer, it was because I was always like the sound of my fucking voice, enjoyed speaking.
You do have a lovely voice.
You know, probably there was an element of what I now find in stand-up, which is you're in a room and you're controlling the room. You are the person people are listening to.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're in a court. You know, not necessarily as a solicitor, but those are the elements that you've got. And I think that, like, in the beginning, you think to yourself, well, this is what that is. And then you have to go into stuff and be like, but inside of that image, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And actually, when I'm inside the image and I'm not just looking at it from the outside, but I'm feeling what it means to be in it, I'm not enjoying this, and this isn't where I want to be. So I think it takes a long time to kind of unpick those things. But for me, that experience and taking that time out was the catalyst. And then I went back and I finished my final year. And in my final year, I met a boyfriend who was a poker player.
Yeah.
And it kind of set me on this whole other path where I just took a big break from what all my other friends were doing. I ended up becoming essentially like a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who made loads of...
Must be nice.
Do you know what? It was because it...
The non-stop Burberry coats for you, right?
Well...
Load you up.
I think I'd moved on to Chanel by that point. But it was an opportunity because I was then so off. I was so off the kilter. I was off the path of everyone else. And I also had this financial cushion of being in a relationship with someone who was earning a lot of money. I wasn't having to make money. I also had the experience that now some of my friends yearn for, which is like, oh God, would it be great to just like not work and to have someone else looking after 100%. You. And I feel like I've had that. I had that at 21 and I don't want it again. Like I've done that.
Do you think you fully appreciated it at 21?
You know what? It's not great.
Yeah. Not great because you feel like, I mean, you're a hustler and you're someone who naturally works hard anyway, the stuff that you do. But do you think partly not great because it's like that dependence on somebody else, or do you feel trapped by it let
me have a think back to that time and exactly what I would say about it. I think, first of all, I have absolutely no judgment on any of it or anyone who does it. I don't think it means anything about you or even your own levels of ambition, because what it is, it's a focus of energy on a different thing. And I thought that was really interesting because I thought to myself that really the reason why I'd become a stay-at-home girlfriend was because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing with my life.
Yeah, fair.
And so inputting all of my energy into my partner and his happiness and having a nice home and our social life and the holidays we were going on, the dinners we were doing, I was working nonstop. I was like booking trips, organizing. I was fucking a PR company, an events company, like running things like clockwork, which is what women would have been, you know, like these stay at home. That's a lot of what that
you're a household manager.
Exactly. So you've got that energy, but what it allows me to do to focus all the energy on my partner was just like not think about myself. It was a form of escapism. Yeah. It was kind of like, I'm going to put all of my eggs onto you. Like that I don't really have to sit down and be like, well, what actually the fuck are you going to do with your life? Yeah. Like, who do you want to become? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to go for? That's what that sort of period allowed me to do. It was to really just like disappear into him and escape myself.
I think a lot of people do that. They disappear into their partner and they just kind of don't question that. So how long did that last for?
We were together for nearly 3 years. Yeah. But in that time, I started doing acting. Okay. So in that time, because I had this financial cushion...
Then you could try something that...
I started doing Amdram. Yeah. And it was the Amdram that got me really like, no, this is... And culture as well, like really discovering theatre and culture. Like my mum was definitely very into art, so like aesthetics, like colours and like nice furniture. So that was definitely like, that was a language that I had the privilege of growing up around for sure. But never theatre, never comedy, never sort of like film or music or anything like that. That just like wasn't so much something that was big in my household growing up. And it was only as an adult that I discovered theatre and cinema, different to film, but like cinema, you know? And that was something which, when I found that kind of vibe, that really felt like I enjoyed it. And still now I feel like, and sometimes I think maybe it just sounds really pretentious, but I do like cultural spaces.
Yeah, same with me. Same with like situation as you. I didn't grow up with any of that. I did not realize there was a comedy circuit for up and coming. I didn't realize what that was. I thought you became famous because everyone I knew who was a stand-up were actors first.
Right.
But they weren't really. They started as stand-ups and became actors, but I only saw them as actors who then had stand-up on the side. So I'd see things like Roseanne, Eddie Murphy, all these big players. But by the time I had seen them, they already had TV shows and all of this stuff. They started out as stand-ups, but all I saw was, okay, so you have to get famous. And then when you're famous, people will give you a big stage to do an HBO special or something like that. Yeah. So I thought you went from nothing to HBO special.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, well, how am I supposed to say that's what I want? That's like saying to me, like, oh, I want to be Britney Spears. Like, that's insane to just go, I want to be a massive 100%. Pop star. And it felt crazy to me. So I felt like because my family, we didn't have that. We never would go to the theater or anything like that. We local community theater, kind of like that kind of stuff. Like the high school drama or whatever, local community theater. But we wouldn't go to a gallery, or we didn't have art, and we didn't have a lot of music or like culture and that kind of stuff. So I just didn't even know, where do you begin? I didn't think there was those accessible levels of that ever.
Yeah. No, I mean, we definitely had art, fine art, aesthetics. That was something.
Well, you were French, so like
that was something that my mum and my grandmother were into. I do remember that growing up. I can't take away the credit of that. That's definitely something that I was around. But theatre and comedy were absolutely not a part of my sort of like upbringing repertoire. And I think that it's that thing, isn't it, where as you become an adult, you realize just the variety of jobs in the world of TV and production.
Oh my gosh,
that you could do. And I didn't know anything about being a cinematographer, being a producer. I would be a great producer.
Yeah, I could see you doing that, actually. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Being a show runner, like working on factual, working on you just don't know any of that. Yeah. It's like just feels like all you know is the box and what comes out of it. Yeah. And anything behind that, you just don't know how it works. So that period, that was sort of the catalyst of doing that show. And also it was so funny doing that show because I could totally see how you become addicted to being on TV.
Oh yeah.
Like the Kardashians can never stop filming because they're geared to it. Yeah. Because you're filmed 24 hours a day. Yeah. They get up in the morning. Like in the morning, you wake up, cameras are already there. Yeah. Like they're pissed off if you have a shit and you don't tell them you're going to go have a shit.
Oh my God.
They want to be
I don't know if I could handle that.
They want to be there for everything. Yeah, it feels weird in the beginning, but you do that for 4 weeks.
Do you forget about the cameras, or do you get just sort of, but get used to it?
It's more that you're
new normal.
You're the center of everything. You're the center of it. You've got a team of producers around you, you've got the cameras, and everything is articulated around you and your day and what you're up to and what's happening. No, but it's like, it is the key to form a narcissist. And you get to 4 weeks of that and you come out of it and you're like, does no one want to see me have my morning coffee? We sure we don't want to get this on camera? Guys, I'm about to have a poo. Does anyone want to get it? Do you want to get this? And I think for someone like the Kardashians, and even more so their children who have been
raised on it,
raised under the light of the lens at the heart of every single day, every single production. I just think your brain is wired differently. You don't know, you cannot become accustomed to an environment in which you have disappeared. And by disappeared, I mean, if there's not a camera on you, you feel like you don't exist.
Yeah. Oh God. Would you do another reality show?
It'd have to be the right one. Sometimes I think SAS Who Dares wins that one.
Yeah.
Terrifying though.
Yeah, that one would be hard. Would you do something like The Circle or Big Brother or something like that? I can't really see you as like a Love Is Blind girl.
No. I think it's a funny thing when you get to this point in your career as a stand-up, because I think you've got to ask yourself, am I going on as a layperson? Am I going on as a stand-up? Yeah. Like, where does it sit? I probably wouldn't do that. Like, at this point, I'd love to do something that was like what I'd love to do in the future would be like Strictly Come Dancing.
Yes,
Dancing on Ice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
SAS Who Dares wins. Like, I think those are really cool ones to do. But I think Big Brother... it's just come back, hasn't it?
Yeah, it just came back. That's why I was asking. I just see it ever. I watched Big Brother ages ago, but I haven't watched it in forever. But I know it was very big over here, and people got like Gemma Collins and stuff, right? Got all famous off that.
No, she got famous off Towie.
Oh, I thought she was Big Brother, but she went on there because all of it.
Oh, Celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah. Scene of her when I see all this stuff of Gemma Collins, it's always clips of her being mental on there.
On Big Brother, I know.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, so that's how the woman got famous.
Those were the golden days. I probably wouldn't do Big Brother. Would you do it?
I don't know. The Circle seems to be the one that I think I would want to do the most out of all of them. So I feel like you could be yourself.
I don't know much about the Circle.
I really like it. Tom
Horton did it, yeah.
And wait, is it Horton or Hutton?
I say Horton.
You're probably right. No, I'm wrong.
But he did really well off that, didn't
he? Yeah, he did do really well. But it's a good way, I think, to showcase you. But they do less of the Big Brother. They try to do some like humiliation stuff and exploitative stuff. I think there's more of that. But I also heard, I don't know what network Big Brother's on. I also heard you need to be very careful. Somebody told me that if you're going to ever do a reality show, do it with the BBC, because the BBC has an obligation to the British public to not misrepresent what's happening on the show. Whereas the other networks, they don't care. It's for reality. So they can misrepresent you and who you are or your character or cast you and edit you in a certain light. But BBC can't do that.
Yes.
Because their obligation to the public is to bring more truthful things. So they can't really manipulate you. So I've talked to people who were on The Traitors, which is on BBC, and they said it was actually pretty good because you weren't like made to look like an asshole.
Yes.
They couldn't edit you to look like an asshole. Whereas The Bachelor, which is an ABC Disney production, in their contract, apparently, it's one of the biggest, most crazy contracts ever. And it literally says in there, we have the right to misrepresent you, your character, your words. We have the right to edit them in a way that isn't true to how they actually came out. It's wild. That
they have storylines, they script it. I listened to this really interesting podcast, which is on BBC iPlayer, which was all about kind of that history of reality television and where it began, and starting with things like The Swan. Which
my God, horrific, that show.
She's mad.
Hey,
mad.
Ugly woman, let's do a bunch of stuff to you. All
my God,
surgery.
she looked disgusting.
What a gross pig.
Yeah, and we've just
crazy.
And we've come so far since
then. Now we let the gross pigs on TV and we celebrate them and call them all beautiful.
Hey. No, the TV show, it went fine, and the way I came across that she was...
I need to watch this. I just want to see you in the reverse Burberry coat looking like an absolute cunt.
Like an absolute cunt. But thankfully, when I did the show, I did actually come... Because it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Not just...
Sounds really
cool. I'm talking about the impact it had on me and where I wanted to go with my life, but you can't take away the fact that I went to countries, I met people, I was exposed to lifestyles and the way people live that was so different to my own. Yeah. When I did the TV show, what it gave me the opportunity was to have a reset. That's what really changed me. I was on this path. This is what I thought I wanted to do. And then I took this time out. I met all these different people. I had this whole different life experience. And then I came back on the other side of it. I had a long break before I went back to uni. And I went, oh, actually, you don't have to become the lawyer. You don't have to immediately graduate and get on the rat race and be successful, make a load of money. Actually maybe take a break, have a think about what actually you enjoy doing. And I think if I hadn't have had that time, if I had just finished my degree, immediately got into a training contract, got into a job as a solicitor, I don't know that I would have ever gotten off that wheel.
Yeah. It's really hard when you're on it, when you're making that kind of money. That's a much bigger risk to take then.
Precisely.
Yeah, because your lifestyle gets used to it.
Yeah, so I don't know that I would have ever done the gamble of stopping all of that and doing what I do today.
I love that. Okay, so you have gone through a lot of change. So the question I like to ask my guests at the end is, what is something in your life that you hope never changes?
What I do for a living. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you've interviewed a lot of comedians. Everyone says the same thing.
No. People don't say the same thing. It's really interesting. People say all different sorts of things of what they hope never changes in their life, because it's something that you want to stay stable your whole life. Some people crave that change, even in what they do for a living. But this is an industry that's very chaotic with a lot of different moving parts, and you're always sort of doing different things. But I think when you say what you do for a living, do you mean more just being creative and having that
being
outlet?
Creative, yeah, totally. Because I include all of it: the writing, writing stuff, writing articles, live comedy, acting, voiceover, all of it.
Yeah.
But I can never do anything else.
Yeah.
Full stop. And I hope to never be put in a position where I have to do something else, because in my heart, I'm this is the love of my life. This is my sun, my moon. I wake up thinking about what's the show, what's the next show I'm going to write, what's the next performance I'm doing. And I just cannot envisage a life where I'm oh, that's gone now. Now you have to work this random 9 to 5 that you don't really want to do.
Heartbreaking. I love you so much. I love talking to you. You are just the best. I might go dye my hair pink. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, Kate.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'll tag you on all the things and all of that. Is there anything particular you want to plug?
I'm doing a tour.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
When does the tour start?
The tour starts in January.
Great.
January through April. I'm doing a load of dates across the UK.
Amazing.
So, yeah, if people go find me on Instagram, tatty.macleod, I am on Instagram, MACLEOD, then all of my tour dates are listed on there.
Perfect. I love you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.